Konnichiwa, this is Horror Movie Talk, and today we're reviewing Perfect Blue, so tune in for our review.
Is this a metal thing? Yes. Taste.
David, what is this?
Pretty thick.
Great.
I have to kill a lot of people. Just tell me which one to fuck.
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, daddy. I can't believe that Bryce first big tits. Mistletoe alert. This is backcountry. This guy was a real jerk. How long can Ugo be pregnant? Chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh, you're such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves. Hoodie Picasso. Horror.
Hello, and welcome to Horror Movie Talk. I'm pop star Princess Sydney Lee of Cham. Ever heard of it? And with me are my lovely co-hosts, my manager, Max Allen, and my agent, Bryce Hanson. Every week, we review a single horror movie. New theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe on iTunes. Full video available on YouTube. Don't be a square. Make sure to share. Also, check out patreon.com/horrormovietalk, the equivalent of the adult section at your video rental store. And also, of course, if you want to add your P to the community pool, go to horrormovietalk.com or call 682-253-4468 and leave us a voicemail.
Sydney's struggling to speak English because she's been speaking Japanese for the past few days.
Mm-hmm. We're doing a Japanese week, guys. We're two Japanese movies in a row today, and it's been hard to get out of the headspace of speaking Japanese. It's Chinese. It's Chinese.
Ah, I always get those two mixed up.
Baka, nani. Those are Japanese words. We've got a great show today. We will be reviewing Perfect Blue. We'll start out by giving a brief... Oh. That scared the shit out of me. We'll start out by giving... You love doing that to me. Mm-hmm. We'll start out by giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. And later, we're going to do horror movie horrors. We're going to listen to your voicemails, which I'm so excited.
Yay.
All right.
Horror movie horrors is kind of just turning into David hour.
I know. I saw a comment that someone thought that it was a bit, like it wasn't actually David calling in, and was like, this David bit is really funny. And it's like, no, whoever commented that, it actually is David calling in. Every single time it says, hi, this is David. That's him.
No, I mean, I think they know it's David. They just, it's David's bit now. Like, yeah. It's hard to say if he's serious on some of it, but,
I take everything 100% serious, everything that he says.
I think we only have one from him this week. He only just left one since last time, so
it's probably because he was on.
Yeah, he was actually on the episode, so yeah, there's that.
Can't call in about that. All right, so Perfect Blue can be found on AMC Plus, and then I think you can rent it on YouTube and stuff. So Perfect Blue follows the story of Mima, a pop star who turns her life around to become an aspiring actress. As she goes deeper into her role on a crime thriller TV show, she realizes that someone might be stalking her. The line between reality and acting becomes thinner and thinner as the anxiety of fame and her potential stalker rise. So I think this movie is impeccable. Director Satoshi Kon forces the viewer to descend into Mima's madness by blurring the line between real and fantasy throughout the course of the film with quick cuts, disorienting scenes, and an overall sense of unknowingness. Making an anime horror film be this good, this widely received and revered is no easy feat, but Kon makes it look like a cakewalk. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, one of my favorite directors of all time. The sense of dread, doom, and anxiety get bigger and bigger until it all comes to a head at the end of the movie. It is emotional, thrilling, scary, and hard to follow, but that is what makes it perfect. Perfect Blue. Get it? Haha. But yeah, I love this movie. It's literally up there, one of my favorites. I've seen almost all of Satoshi Kon's movies. I think he's incredible. And I give this a perfect score, 10 out of 10.
Wow.
What say you guys?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, especially after watching. So we're recording 2 episodes this week. We're recording Perfect Blue and Tokyo Gore Police, which was recommended by a patron.
Mm-hmm.
And so coming off of watching Tokyo Gore Police, this was a breath of fresh air in that it was very high quality. A lot of thought went into it, like the structure of it, and like the themes were like properly thought out and communicated. And it kept my attention the whole time. It's just a really high quality. It's like one of the better kind of psychological thrillers that I've seen. You know, that includes any live action movie as well. And I thought it was great. I really can't see anything to ding it on. Like it was pretty great. I'd give it a 10 out of 10 too.
Nice.
I'd say like it's kind of on the fringe of horror, because like most of it's not like a really horror movie, but this is definitely like a psychological thriller with some horror elements in it. But you know, if you're expecting Tokyo Gore Police, it's not that. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of like, you know, darkened rooms and jump scares. It's really just the being inside of someone's mind that's, you know, intensely paranoid and confused, and for that it does really well. There are some scenes, I mean, there are some murder scenes and some pretty intense kind of chases and stuff that are pretty suspenseful, but yeah, it's not a like 100% horror genre movie. But yeah, I loved it. I wouldn't shy away from giving it a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's categorized as a horror / mystery when I looked at the genre that Google gave it. So there is definitely a lot of psychological thriller elements to it, though. It's more like anxiety inducing than actually
Right.
like, oh, I'm scared right now. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what can I say about this movie? It's perfect. It's blue. I think that I probably won't go ahead and give it a 10 out of 10 just because I don't know if
because you're racist. It's all right.
well, because I hate Japanese. No, I'm not gonna go down that. I love everybody.
The Japanese.
Clipped.
My grandfather fought in the war and has instilled this hatred to me.
No, I think I'm not the biggest fan of like anime in general. And so I think just like the art form is, while I appreciate it, it's not like my go-to or like my favorite style. But I really did enjoy it, and it's amazing what a movie can do when they actually make their main character like a person and give them thoughts and desires, and like you know, I think part of her character is that she really wants to please others, and that includes like the director, her manager, and like all these people. And so she's like, no, it's fine, I'll do this thing that I really don't want to do for everyone to be happy. And like that kind of stuff is really interesting. And yeah, there's some really like wild and wacky like mind games going on, and like you don't really know what's real for a lot of it. So I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Solid. Well, I'm glad we all liked it. I knew these movies, Satoshi Kon's movies, were the first animes I ever saw, like including TV shows and stuff. And I kind of shied away from anime for a long time because I was like, that stuff's for geeks. But then I watched these and I was like, fuck, like there's some really good art going on here, and I'm missing out on a lot. I've only ever watched like 2 anime TV shows. I've seen Death Note and Cowboy Bebop, which are pretty famous. But like these like all of his movies, like this one is like Darren Aronofsky took a couple of things, like when she's in the bathtub, Darren Aronofsky kind of stole that shot for Requiem for a Dream. And then the entire plot of this movie is like the plot of Black Swan, if you could see the parallels. So
I could see that.
And Satoshi Kon doesn't really get his I mean, he's dead, but like he doesn't get his credit for that. And also there's a movie called Paprika that Satoshi Kon adapted from a book called Paprika, and it is word for word Inception. Like Christopher Nolan was like, watch that and said, okay, I'm making Inception.
So what are some of his other films that we might recognize? I'm not familiar, I don't think.
Well, it's just this one is the most famous. And then there's Paprika, which is like Dream Within a Dream kind of movie. It's excellent. That is, I would say, I was going to suggest that, but it's more action than horror. And then there's Tokyo Godfathers, which is
I
really
thought you were about to say
good.
Tokyo Gore Police.
I think it's Godfathers. It's yeah, and then there's Millennium Actress. I think those are his 4 movies, and then he has like I have that on DVD, but it's Paranoia Agent, and it's like a short. It's like a limited series. Like he was gonna make it a movie, but it ended up being too long. And I started watching it, and it is scary. Like I was like, I can't watch this right now. Like I was like fucking having a panic attack. So, but he makes very like on the fringe kind of stuff. I really love him. Like I love what he does. I think he's incredibly. But yeah, this is the most famous one, so you probably wouldn't recognize the others.
Interesting. I just realized on IMDb, Perfect Blue came out in 1997. I think the date was wrong on AMC because I think the date in AMC said it was like 2008 or something. I was like,
really?
That's weird.
Tokyo Gore Police was 2008.
Oh, was
Maybe
it?
that's what you're getting mixed up.
Maybe I mixed them up.
You can really tell that this is a 90s anime because the anime style changes like throughout like decades. So if you watched an anime now, it would be completely different, like the animation style.
Yeah.
But
I've only seen like a couple animes. Like I've seen Spirited Away, which is really good.
Love.
I watched like those other ones made by the same people. I don't really remember anything about them.
Studio Ghibli or Miyazaki.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot you had a, what is that? Ponyo.
Ponyo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen a ton of anime either. Like I like the ones that I've seen. I just haven't gotten into it. I've seen a couple Miyazaki movies, but not the ones. I think I saw Princess Mononoke.
Love that movie.
And Spirited Away, I think. But yeah, I've seen, and then some random ones. There was the first one I saw was like called Venus Wars, I think, which I don't really ever hear anyone talk about, but it was really cool. Like if you're into sci-fi, it's pretty hard to go wrong with anime because it's just some of the coolest shit. Animated.
Does Avatar: The Last Airbender count as anime?
It's technically Chinese, and anime has to be Japanese. I'm pretty sure. That's like, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, then ni hao.
All right.
Okay.
I didn't mean that to be anything. That was a misclick. But that is kind of like a samurai sound almost. It's just someone snoring.
It's so loud.
Okay.
Do we have Japanese listeners? If you're in Japan, you listen to us, please like let us know, because like we have different countries listen to us. I know that, but it's usually like UK. And I know we have a lot of UK listeners, obviously a lot of US listeners, but yeah, Japanese listeners, fucking send us a letter. Like, I don't know.
Well, they're not going to be listening to us after this episode.
Arigato. But if you are listening to these commercials, you should know you don't have to, because you can go to patreon.com/horror movie talk and you can sign up for any one of our tiers, even our free tiers. Just show us that you support us and that you are there for us, and that's what we love. Do we have any new patrons that I should shout out right now? Because I know Max, you texted about one the other day. What is their name?
We had
Matt B. Thank you. And then, yeah, I guess that's it since the last.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Maddie B. Yeah, I think that's it.
Unfortunately, I think Matt B has already canceled, but thank you.
Thank you for the
We still
one
got
month
his money.
support.
We still got his money.
And then we
still
have
got it.
Jared W as a free member. That's
Yes.
yeah. And then Philip F. I think we shouted him out last time. But thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. We love you. We want to
Okay,
give you smooches.
I just checked. We
Mhm.
have 0.03% of our audience is from Japan.
Hell yeah. Let's go. What is that, like one person? Fuck yeah. I hope you love this episode.
That's probably about a dozen a week from
That's
Japan.
That's actually more than I thought it would be.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. I didn't think we would have any. So thank
Yeah.
you guys. I hope you learn English from us and speak like how we speak, because I'm really classy.
Maybe they know English already, Sydney.
I'm just
It's
saying.
rude of you to think that you could teach them something.
Yeah, they're already listening to the pod. We don't have a separate version in Japanese.
Why would they listen to the show if they don't know English?
I don't know. Maybe they're trying to gain more knowledge and want to know how we colloquially talk.
We should hire
how you
3
pronounce that.
people who look like us and speak a different language and have
Mhm.
them like do a translation and put it out in like English and Spanish every week.
Uh-huh.
That actually would
Yeah.
be great. That'd be funny.
That's what Mr. Beast does.
Yeah, Mr. Beast re-uploads all his videos with the translation, and he makes probably a ton of money from
He
it.
makes so
Mhm.
much money. I guess we need to lock people in a room for 100 days or something to
Mhm.
get famous. But
Yeah, we could make another $100 a month probably if we did that. If we paid someone
That's not bad.
$5,000 to do that for us
Hmm.
every month.
Okay. Well, we'll put it on the back burner.
Yeah, we'll think about it. But yeah, don't forget about our Patreon. Don't forget about our HMT shop. We got merch there. We have our link tree, which is linktr.ee/horror movie talk. And that has all of our links to every single thing that we do online ever. So just go on there. I made it all pretty. It's red, like the color of our logo. And also don't forget, check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel. He's a professional artist who fucks hard. He also takes commissions for artwork from HMT fans. Contact him at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram and make your artistic dreams come true. Tell him HMT sent you. And once again, our voicemail line, 682-253-4468. Call us. We want to hear from you. You can just burp into the phone. We would listen to it. But thank you so much for listening, and let's get into spoilers.
Spoilers.
Konnichiwa.
What's spoilers in Japanese? That's
I'll
should say that.
work on it.
Spoilers.
Never mind. We're not getting better than that. So
spoilers in Japanese. Hold on. Oh, I don't know how to pronounce that. Oh, spoiler.
Spoiler.
Spoiler. Yeah. Jesus Christ. So I always forget that this movie opens with like the Power Rangers, with the knockoff Power Rangers, and I was I'm always very shocked because I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But no, it just establishes that they're at like this event with a main stage, and we see Mima getting ready with her pop group Cham, and they're going to announce Mima's retirement from the group and her transition into acting. But this scene, it's so cool because it like is cut with like her getting ready, and then it like cuts to her at the grocery store, and then it like cuts back and like it does this little dance, and you find out that her going to the grocery store and going home, that's what happens later on that night. And you see that first, and then you see them perform, and for her to announce that she's leaving. And like there's like these fanboys throughout the movie that give you like exposition, which I really like them. Like I think it's really fun. They're like super fans of the pop group and of Mima, and like just throughout the movie they're just talking about her, and you get more information about what's going on, and it kind of like grounds you in reality, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's interesting, like, because this whole thing around like pop star culture seems to be like it's kind of a foreign idea to us, because like our pop stars are just by default the most famous people in music, and it seems like there's much more of a small time following for like niche pop stars or whatever in Japan, where it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but she's already got like hardcore fans, but it's still just kind of a small following. Like they haven't even charted yet. And
Well, what they say at the beginning is they're like, wow, I don't know if we can keep doing this. No one listens to pop stars anymore. Pop stars don't make any money, which is like, to us, it's like the complete opposite. Pop stars are like the richest people in America. So
right.
It's a little different.
Yeah, it's much more of a minor league feeder program probably happening in Japan, where they're like trying to build super groups, which I guess that happens in America too. I wonder how many like failed boy bands there were in the late 90s.
I would love to
trying to
be a part
capture
of one.
Probably
Yeah, there was a weird like late 90s, early 2000s, like there were so many boy bands and like Britney Spears ripoffs that were thrust upon America that either took off or did not. So I mean, it was happening in America too, but like in this circumstance, it was kind of interesting because it wasn't like a super successful pop group. But after she left, it kind of got more successful. And then the other aspect of it is it seemed like there's a lot more of a culture of like pop stars being, you know, these innocent, kind of, you know, what would you call it? You know, just kind of dolls, you know, and more than like personalities or sex symbols. I mean,
They dress like very young girls.
But the only fans are men, and grown men. Like grown men were the only people at that show, and that's also a divide with like America, because like men don't usually like pop girl groups, like that who you're gonna see at those concerts are like 14-year-old girls and not like grown fucking men. So it's like these women, and they're women, like they're in their 20s, wearing these little like coquette outfits, like Lolita type shit, and like they look like little girls in a way, and it's just like these grown-ass men being like, yeah, oh my god, like, and it's so weird, like it's so strange. But that's kind of like the Japan, I feel like that's like a very Japanese thing, like,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's so weird because they talk about her, like, you know, because later in the movie, like she's trying to move into acting, and like they have to make a point that like, okay, we're leaving pop stardom behind, so it opens us up to more possibilities in acting, because if you want to be a pop star, you have to have this carefully cultivated image of innocence and, you know, whatever,
which they immediately try to break for her when she enters the film world.
Well, yeah, I think she kind of wants to break it too. I think like she is definitely a people pleaser, like you said in your review, Max, but like also at the same time, like she's like, I want it, like it's kind of her decision to be an actor, because her manager wants her to stay a pop star, but her agent is like, no, this is good for her. Like, we can get her more roles. And like the ways that she's like, yeah, I'll do a rape scene. No problem. Like, and you're like, oh, like she literally is like, hell yeah.
On her first TV show, by the way, her very first TV show, like a couple episodes in, is already doing a rape scene. Like it escalates very fast.
And I mean, it's a little bit of like, I mean, it portrays it really well because it's like this good mix of her being in control and making decisions for herself, but also being a pleaser and being kind of a part of the machine. And like she's choosing to be part of the machine is what she's doing, but when she chooses to do that, you know, the machine also kind of eats her up. And, you know, she, you know, because there's some stuff where it does feel like she regrets it and takes it too far. Like after the rape scene, like definitely she seems to have regret. And after like the photo shoot where, you know, the photographer is basically convincing her to do softcore porn, she seems to have regrets for that. But like, going into it, it's a very good like portrayal of kind of an immature like young woman that gets a little over her head for people that are trying to exploit her. But I mean that whole thing of like the point I was trying to make is like it's interesting because it's a big contrast. Because in Japan, like the cultivated image is like very important for her to be pure and virginal and like untouched and like not like a sex symbol. And even though like obviously that's all in service of kind of weird fetishistic impulses in the culture,
100%.
but in America, like we could not get Britney Spears out of her clothes soon enough, you know, when she was a teenager. Like,
she turned 18 and everyone was like, okay, take the fucking shirt off now.
Like, all right, how slutty can we make a 16-year-old look in a music video? Like, and
that was
because I know, I mean, it doesn't make me a pedophile because I was a teenager at the time. I definitely watched all those music videos religiously. And like, I was enjoying it, but like now in retrospect, I'm like, ew, like, why are we sexualizing these young girls? Like, just like, and turns out Hollywood and, you know, the music industry is full of pedophiles, so it makes sense. It like makes a lot more sense now.
I mean, so is like Hollywood too, and like I think that's mirrored here when after she does the rape scene, like that gives her like the okay in her mind where she's like, yeah, I guess I should do the creepy photo shoot because now this is who I am. I've been tainted. Like like the world has seen me been tainted on screen, so why don't I just do this? And she literally, like, you see her bush, like legitimately, like in this movie, you're like, oh fuck, okay, like that's her, and it's in like a magazine. It's just in like a regular magazine, and it's
was
really...
this enough sex for you, Sydney?
It's
Sydney wanted more rape, to be honest.
Holy shit. No, but it was funny because I was like listening a little bit to our last week's episode, and I was like, the entire time I was talking about being horny. The whole time I was talking about being horny. And these go on the internet and people listen to them, and people can see these. No, this movie is like not a type of sexuality that I don't think it's supposed to turn you on at all. Like and it doesn't. No, even when she does her,
doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, no. I just mostly felt bad for her like the whole time. Like I was like, this poor girl. But I mean, she wanted to do it. It's
well,
just...
she wants to change her image, and she wants to like grow up and become her own person. Right. And the way they're telling her to do it is by doing the rape scene, doing the nude photos. Like, it's not that she wants to do those things. I think it's that she wants to have what they're claiming it'll give her, which is like freedom and like becoming her own person and like
Also money.
breaking off the image.
Yeah, I mean, she wants to be successful, and like, I mean, she is being pushed a little bit because her agent wants her to go away from being a pop star because it also doesn't make them as much money, you know.
Mhm.
So there are definitely pressures and stuff, but yeah, I think it's portrayed really well, and it toes the line between being purely a victim and being exploited and being like choosing a certain, you know, path towards stardom that is viable for her, and then, you know, suffering the consequences of it. But yeah, I mean, I think it portrays that really well, and like the horror element of it, or like the real thriller aspect, is like the reaction of the fans and this like propping up of this former pop star persona as like, you know, is that her? Is that what she really wants? Is that what people really want? And, you know, how does that, you know, is she destroying that image, or is that image destroying her, kind of thing? It does that really well, communicating all that.
Yeah, it's really like, so she kind of has a stalker, and she finds out by like this cryptic like fan mail letter thing that says like go to Mima's room, and I think it's really funny because there's like a link and she's like, what is that?
Yeah.
And
she has
like,
no
she's
idea.
like, what is the internet? And her manager's like, okay, get a computer. So she buys a computer and she's like, set it up for me. And she gets so stressed out because she doesn't know what's going on. She's like, so the manager's like, so you go on the World Wide Web. And she goes, what are you talking about? So then she goes on this link, and she thinks it's cute at first because it's like this diary, but it's not her writing it, but it's like her diary, and it's like some fan that's like, oh, today I did my last performance in Cham, and I'm gonna miss these girls so much, and she's like smiling and laughing, and then there's like, and then I went to the grocery store and I bought the cow brand milk because I wanted to treat myself, and then I got some fish food, and that's what we saw at the beginning of the movie, and she's
Right.
like, oh my god, that's like exactly what I did. And then it's like, I got off the train with my left foot first. And she's like,
Yeah.
she starts freaking out. And she's like, who the fuck is writing this? She like looks out her window. And she does have a stalker. And it's a really creepy, gross guy that's behind Bryce. And his name is Mimania. And he is really scary and gross. And I do like when he, like, because he doesn't talk most of the movie, but when he does finally talk, he has this high-pitched, like, squeaky voice. And I
They
think
did a
that's
great job
really
of making him
effective.
look just so ugly and weird.
Right.
He's so
Well,
scary.
Yeah, I mean, I think like he is literally supposed to be deformed in some way,
Yeah.
because like he gets in a fight with some of these other fanboys at the concert, and they, you know, talk about how he's a freak.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, I was expecting like a fake out with him, but then it cements it so much that it obviously has to be him that's like stalking her.
But it's like him and the big
Yeah.
reveal. Like he's
Yeah.
working with the actual person who is trying to ruin her life.
Yeah,
And
I thought
I
that
that.
reveal was so great. It was like
Mhm.
that's what sealed the deal for me. Where it was like, are they going to just be obvious and just make it this guy stalking her, and that's it? And it ends up being a little extra than that, because this guy supposedly was communicating and emailing with
The
Mima.
real Mima, which
yeah, with
is
the
like
real Mima.
Like, so the thing is that Mima, the actual person, the character in the movie, she starts like losing her grip on reality because she's so stressed out. She's being pulled in a million different directions. She's changing her life. Like she keeps being on set, and then they say like take 3, and she wakes up in her bed. She's just losing time, and everything is kind of blending together. She doesn't know where the show ends and where her life begins, and vice versa. So we find out that so she's seeing in the reflections of like windows and stuff, she sees like the pop star Mima, and she starts freaking out because she's like, can anyone else see this? And it's like, no one else can see this. So then you're like, oh, she's actually going crazy. But that's not what's happening. Because Me Mania is also seeing her. So we're like, okay, how is that happening? How is he hallucinating the same thing that Mima is? It doesn't make sense. And then
Yeah, I mean it has a really good progression of like increasing the uncertainty and the paranoia around it, because at first it's like she sees this site, she obviously has a stalker, but it's very, very specific and written in her own voice as this alternate ego. And then she's starting thinking like, well, how do they know so much? Like, is that me? Which is kind of a weird impulse, but like it's more of like the having that persona separate from her, and then it just devolves to the point where she really thinks that separate persona actually exists outside of her. And several times in the movie it's talking about like, you know, illusions can't come to life, you know, and it's like
she's
well,
like, but
maybe they can,
is.
because it seems like this alternate persona is communicating with this guy and telling everything about her, stuff like that guy couldn't even know either.
Right.
And
it gets it gets even more blurred, because she'll be like on set and she'll just like look at her co-star and be like, am I real? And then her co-star's like, what the fuck are you talking about, bitch? Like, can you just do the scene? Like,
and there's a lot of other things going on that are like adding to her paranoia and stress. Like there was fan mail sent that her manager opened, which had like a mini explosive. Her agent had like a mini explosive in it, which, you know, was obviously meant for her. So she's like
it's
fearing
funny
for her
her
life a little
manager
bit.
is like, it's fine, it was a prank.
Yeah, man is covered in blood and like on the floor, and he's like, it's so funny, it's just fine, we'll be okay. Her fish die, but then they don't die. I don't know if that was like real or not, but like presumably maybe someone murdered her fish. So, you know, just it's escalating in a way that's really scary.
What I think with the fish is that, you know how in the end when she wakes up and she's like, oh, I'm in my room, and then she goes, this isn't my room. This isn't my house. Why does it look like my house? I think that she was getting taken by Rumi to Rumi's house, and that's why the fish were alive in the next second.
Is this real life?
Yeah, this is real life.
Exactly.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I didn't catch that Rumi had an alternate version of her apartment.
Yeah.
And that makes so much more sense now, because like, yeah, the fishes go from being dead to being alive throughout several points in the movie.
Yeah, and every time that Mima's confused and like is on set and then just like randomly wakes up in her bed, Rumi is always there. So I think she was so disoriented and like descending into madness that she didn't even realize that like the apartment she was in was a little bit different every single time. And I think that's because Rumi was recreating her apartment. And yeah, so but also adding to this like descent into madness, besides the fan mail, which obviously adds to it, 3 people get murdered throughout the movie. And it's like their eyes get gouged out. And there's one scene where I think it's the photographer gets killed. And it's like the pizza person comes and then he opens the door, and then you see that it's Mima stabbing him. And then you're like, oh fuck, like she's actually like she's getting wronged in a way like internally, and then she like is killing these people, and you get really confused because you're like, I don't see her as a killer. Like, how is this
because
happening?
then she wakes up and it's like, is it all a dream? And then she finds bloody clothes in her closet.
Right.
And then like it's all,
but it's not her room, that's why.
Yeah, so it's all mixed up. And all the people that are killed are the people that have exploited her or pushed her to be, you know, more sexual. Like, so it was the director. No, it was the writer of the show, which wrote the rape scene, or the essay scene.
It's funny because
what was the word that we said we should replace?
The ravaged scene?
ravishing. Yeah, the ravishing scene, and then the photographer, and then who was the third one?
Her agent.
Oh yeah.
Because her agent, because at the so the writer, so her agent is the one that's pushing for her to have more lines and more scenes, and that's why like he talks to the writer, and that's why she gets more screen time, because she's only supposed to have one scene with one line, and that's how it starts. And then her agent's like, no, we can utilize her more. Like he goes and talks to the writer. The writer's like, okay, I see your point. Like I will write her more scenes, and like the rape scene is kind of like the second scene that she does.
The ravishing scene.
The ravishing scene is like the second scene that she does. Sorry. And then that's when the writer gets killed. And then the photographer is after that because he's creepy. And like we do have a scene where like the other girls in the pop group who are like, I can't believe she's doing a photo shoot with that guy. He's such a creep. Like he's going to make her get naked. And they're like, well, she's different now, so it'll be fine. And then he gets killed. The pizza murder.
I loved that scene. I was like cheering out loud watching Mima stab that photographer. He's so gross and so sleazy. I was like, this is worth, no matter what else happens in the movie, this is worth watching.
Yeah, 100%. And then at the end is when Mima's like, they wrap the show, but Mima is so confused because she didn't even know that they finished the show, because she's been thinking that this is her life. And it kind of is, but it's also happening in the show. It's like it's like the same thing is like happening. Yeah. And so she's very confused. And the agent is like, okay, I got her on more lists. I'm going to get her another show. Like, we're going to get her in these, I think he says something about like sleazy movies that have like questionable scenes.
Yeah,
but, like,
she said like, we already have like an offer. There's a couple of questionable scenes, but it's, it's to be expected,
Yeah, and that's when her agent gets murdered, because he was going to take Mima home, and then he was like, oh, Rumi, can you just take her home? And she's like, sure. And then she calls her agent later to like get the scoop on the next movie, and he like it flashes to him dead in his car or in the parking garage. And yeah, should we say what the
wait, does he die in the oh yeah, that's right, the parking garage,
or he's in his car?
I thought the writer died in the parking garage.
He was in the elevator.
Yeah, the writer died in the elevator, and then it was the pizza murder, and then the agent died like right next to the stalker guy, because like they just show him like dead.
Yeah. I forgot.
So yeah, what happens is at the end, I mean, we're already skipping forward to the end, but in the end, like the stalker confronts her, after all this confusion, and after like she's seen, this imaginary persona of herself like stalking her as well, and the actual creepy guy stalker approaches her and tries to murder her, because the real Mima had told him that he needs to murder her. It's just like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't what
tries to
that doesn't make any sense. And
it mirrors the ravishing scene too, because it's on the same set. And he does try to like I was shocked at that point, because he's like, I guess he's thinking, oh, this isn't the real Mima, so I'm gonna hurt her in like 1,000 different ways.
Well, so I mean, it goes to show you, like, that's like, we're gonna have to talk about the sexual dynamics of the movie and the culture a little bit, because like I think the whole thing about like keeping the pop stars virginal is because it keeps up the illusion that like, oh, she could be mine. Like, I'll be the one to, introduce her to,
she's waiting for me.
Sex. Yeah. It's the same way, like with the Beatles, when, one of them got married, they kind of kept it under wraps for a while, because they're like, well, now the girls can't have Paul. We don't want to let them know that they can't have Paul. That kind of thing. So yeah, of course, like when he actually has her and he's going to kill her, he's like, yeah, he definitely wants to have sex with her. Like, that's been true the entire time.
He has an entire room filled with her pictures that talk to him. Like, it's crazy.
Man is unwell.
So he tries to kill her, and she ends up killing him. And then
with a hammer.
she runs away,
So
and then it
good.
cuts back, and her agent is dead next to him. And you're like, wait, what?
Well, actually, no.
How did that happen?
She goes and finds Rumi, and Rumi's like, "What happened? Why are your clothes all torn? Like, are you okay?" And they get new clothes for her, and she's like, "He's in there. Like, I just did something." And then they go in, and he's gone. And then Mima's like,
Oh,
"Oh
that's
my
right.
fucking god!" And so then Mima and Rumi, like, she passes out. They go back to Rumi's house or Mima's house or whoever the fuck's house, and then that's when she calls the agent. And then the agent doesn't answer. We flash to him and Mimania dead next to each other. So drum roll. Rumi is the hallucination of the fake Mima. It's just she has like a wig on, and Mima's so fucked up about everything that's been happening. She couldn't see that it was Rumi until she gets a good look at her in the mirror, and Rumi has her like little costume on. It's told to us that Rumi used to be a pop star, and that's why she became the manager of pop stars when she got older and aged out of the group. And Rumi it mirrors the show that Mima is in, because Mima's character in the show has dissociative identity disorder, and we find out that that's the same thing with Rumi. And so then that's when she wakes up in Rumi's house and then goes, "Wait, this is not my house, but it looks exactly like my room." And she notices because there's the poster of Cham on the wall, and Mima had taken down the poster of Cham. So she's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And then she's like, "This isn't
And
my
she
room."
opens the window, and it's like a different
That's
city.
right.
Or not different city, but like different landscape outside. And so,
and then Rumi pops out and is wearing
I totally did.
her
I
little
totally didn't
outfit.
catch that. That makes so much sense now.
Right? And yeah, so Rumi, it looks like Rumi has these like mystical ethereal powers where she can like jump around and like be fine, but then it flashes to like Rumi actually like panting and heaving and running and like can't really keep up. But yeah, so
Recording, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean,
It should be.
handles it really well, because it's like it's communicating the reality through the reflections in the mirrors, and it shows, Rumi like running and being out of breath and like frantically chasing after Mima, whereas like in the perceived reality, or like what we're seeing, is this anime kind of ghost hopping around chasing Mima, and it's really effective. I also appreciate it because I was a big fan of Quantum Leap, and that's how they communicated who Sam was in reality when he was leaping. He'd look
I
in the
haven't seen
mirrors
it, but
and
I'll take your word for it.
yeah, I mean,
it's a great show. I'll pull up a clip that you'll really enjoy if you give me a minute, but
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, this ending scene is like one of the best scenes in the whole movie, because it's like a huge chase, and they fall out of the window and like onto the ground, and then they're like running through the streets, and the glass scene is like probably the most effective for me when Rumi falls on the broken glass and it just like stabs straight into her stomach.
I've got Quantum Leap here. So this is, I mean, they kind of probably stole this from Quantum Leap, to be honest.
okay.
So for people that don't know, the story behind Quantum Leap is this scientist figured out a way to time travel by leaping into the bodies of people in the past, and then he finds out, things have gone haywire, but he's not able to leap back home, but he leaps into the next people once he fixes their problems in the past and puts this, the time right. But here's an example from Quantum Leap, which is probably the best example.
I'm retarded?
Wait, I've seen this. I didn't know that was from a real movie. I thought that was like a skit.
Oh my god, isn't that one
it's
of the sound
it's from a
drops that
TV
you
show.
have?
TV show
That had
Hi, my name is
several seasons.
That's
which
one of
I've
the
seen.
sound drops, 100%, right?
I probably have one.
I was going through them last night. I was listening. to
Oh,
all
that's
of
so good.
them. That's crazy.
And honestly, that's one of the best episodes. That is genuinely one of the best, because it's Sam Beckett, the character in Quantum Leap, is like a genius, literally like a Einstein level genius in physics and all these different. He has a bunch of different PhDs, and he leaps into someone that's retarded, and no one believes him that he knows anything. That he's like has the smarter idea, and anyways, it's a great show.
That is truly a time capsule of something that could not be made anymore.
Seriously.
They actually did a remake. They recently, like within the last year or two, they remade Quantum Leap with one of these Asian actors. I can't remember his name.
One of these Asian
but it didn't last. It's already canceled. It had him, and then we're gonna talk about.
They probably made it all the way up to the
Afterpod.
Down syndrome episode, and then they got cut so fast.
Well, that's the thing. Like it was like handled a lot of interesting issues in Quantum Leap, and like really showed you the perspective of different people. But it seems so it seems like it would work well, with the current audience, but I don't know. There's a bunch of reasons why it worked back then, and it was kind of unique. And but
stop doing remakes. Everyone stop doing remakes. Just make a new original movie or show. I'm so sick of it. I need new ideas. I want to stop
Unless you
watching
wanna
I can't
reuse
imagine what it'd be
Spider-Man
like I can't imagine what it'd be like for you guys, because you don't remember anything from the 80s and 90s.
Well, we weren't there.
You weren't alive. And everything is a remake from my generation. And even I am like, please stop. And then they make an X-Men remake. I'm like, please, more.
I've even played
I'm telling you,
songs.
I will see every single Spider-Man movie they ever make. I don't care how many times they reboot it. It's just fun.
Yeah.
True.
But
okay, so
so we get
what
to
else
the
do we
end.
need to talk about?
We get to the end. Rumi falls on the glass and she's like dying. And then she goes into the street and Mima's like, stop. And she thinks the headlights of a truck are like lights at a stadium where she's like about to perform. So she like almost starts singing. And then Mima saves her and they both like are fucked up. And Mima has this moment where her eyes are open. She's looking at the sky and she's like, I'm real. Like, she doesn't say it, but like, she's like, oh my God, I haven't been crazy this whole time. Like, this shit has been happening. And I've just thought that I've been going insane. But no, Rumi is the one who has been perpetrating these murders and all of this like disorientation. Like, I mean, some of it is Mima's like just grappling with the change in her life and the new stressors, but like most of it has been Rumi. And then we flash to probably like a year or so later, and Mima's like a big actress now. Like she's like known. Like she goes and visits Rumi in the mental hospital, and they're like, and she gives her flowers, and Rumi still thinks she's a pop star and doesn't go into her Rumi identity anymore. And then we see nurses like giggling, and they're like, I can't believe Mima would be here. Like, this is so crazy. Like, I can't believe we're seeing her in real life. And then it ends with Mima
and then the important part is they're like, no, that's got to be a lookalike.
That couldn't be her.
Yeah, which is funny. And then at the end, she looks in her rearview mirror in her car and she goes, what does she say? She says, no,
I'm real.
Yeah, I'm real.
I'm real.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really
Hey, if you're listening, if you're not watching the YouTube,
we'll send this to Dustin and be like, here's our
what is they do something for I love you. They do something for, or maybe it's Korean, Japanese. I love you.
So yeah, one of the interesting like facets of this is like the sexuality and like
it's like a little finger cross. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because like one of the major themes of this is like, is that cultivated like and commodification of sexuality and sex with young women, which isn't unique to Japan, but it has its own unique flavor in Japan. I don't know if you guys have ever watched any Japanese porn or anything, but it's weirdly
What?
like,
no, never. Not every
it's
single
like-
time I watch porn. No.
it's
No.
weirdly what's it called, like conservative, because you can't show genitals in Japanese porn. It's like illegal to actually show a peen or a vagina.
A vagina.
And so they blur it out, and so you can never see like penetration or anything, but it's like,
but you can see it.
That, and then another part of like the Japanese kind of like sex culture that I've read about is
That you've read about?
the woman is super passive. Like she's never in charge or does anything. Like the whole dream for Japanese men is like, oh, I'm going to teach her about sex, and like she doesn't know how her body works, and I'm going to teach her how to orgasm. And so like that is also like, I mean, on the surface that's creepy because it's like, oh, this isn't a person with like needs or desires or autonomy. Like I have to show them. But then also the extra level is like, it also feels very infantilizing because
it's
of that, so it feels like a little pedophilic on its surface.
Yeah, there's
and
always
also-
this like reluctance with Japanese women in porn, and this is like straight porn or lesbian porn or anything. It's
I don't like reluctance in my sex.
always like a reluctance. Like one party is like, let's do this, and the other one's like, I don't know, I've never done something like that. And then like they get their tit touched and they're like, ah, ah. It's very over exaggerated. Like like no one, like your nipple has never brushed something before. Like it's like it is very infantilized and like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, you need to like teach me how to do this. But like it's also very clearly like they're adults. Like you can tell, you know that they are, but it's also it's very strange. Like it is.
Well, yeah, and then you look at the rest of Japanese culture and you're like, no, they really are obsessed with like schoolgirls, and like you look at the pop stars and like it's definitely trying to show like a virginal image of youth.
Also, even the beauty standards for women in Japan or like East Asian countries in general, like you cannot buy like a size large in clothes. Like you have to be like 90 pounds. And like it's very like flat chested, flat ass, like very little boy-ish for women's bodies. And that is also so crazy because it's so different in America. Like everyone has BBLs. Like it's like it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's it's an interesting like dynamic, and I think that's shown in this movie that like they're trying to cultivate that image and like it's all about sexuality and the commodification of young women and their bodies, and like once you kind of cross the Rubicon of like showing your tits and bush apparently, then it's like, oh, well, you just ruined it. Now you're just a slut.
Well,
and,
you can like if the exciting part is teaching a girl how to have sex, and then like once she knows, is she just used up? Like there's no going back. Like it's one and done type thing.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just like Japanese men are so bad at sex that they just gotta, hope that women don't know about sex once they have it.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like I've watched a little Japanese porn, and they're a little. If I was a woman, I don't think I'd enjoy it. They're like, look at how your nipples feel. Like, Jesus, like grabbing and pinching. You're like, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Like, have some finesse.
be kind.
Be kind. Be kind to my nipples.
Yeah. So
Respect the nipple.
yeah, respect the nipple.
Hashtag respect the nipple.
Anyways, yeah, it's interesting. Again, I love this movie. I think like it's kind of a masterclass in like ramping up the psychological elements and uncertainty. Like it does a really good job of keeping you just confused enough, but giving you enough of like a kind of the road signs of knowing like it could be this, it could be this, and then explaining it in the end. It's great. Thanks for choosing it, Sydney. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think the only other like animated movie that has been reviewed on Horror Movie Talk was a pretentious review about Mad God, but that was claymation, so it wasn't even
Don't
animated.
forget about The Hobbit.
Oh.
Do not forget about The Hobbit.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But I was gonna pick Mad God, but then I was like, oh, there's already a pretentious review on it, and I really love
don't
that
make
movie.
me watch Mad God again. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
That movie's so boring. It's beautiful and amazing.
Fuck! It's not boring.
No, shut up.
Oh, Mad God is
know
so
it's boring.
What are you talking about?
It's boring.
Oh man,
it's beautiful
It's
and
not
they did an
boring.
amazing job, but it's really boring.
I was horrified that whole movie. Like that movie actually scared me. Like that was a scary movie in my opinion. Like I was scared. There's a lot of like when they do the surgery and all the fucking like jewelry comes out. But no, yeah, you're welcome for this movie. I will try to find more fringe horror things. But yeah, I think everyone. Should we go final recommendations? I think everyone should see this. I think this is an incredible movie, and like, don't let the animation fool you. It is very in depth. It is not a kids movie like at all whatsoever. Like this is it really is a masterclass in storytelling. And usually when you have movies that are kind of mystery thrillers, like you can kind of guess who it is or what's going on. This movie does not give you any hints. Like it really doesn't. And I think that's great. And I think that if you're a fan of any type of mystery, horror, anything, this is the movie for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even if you're not a fan of anime, like it stands up as just a really great movie, well paced, great thriller. And if you are a fan of anime, definitely see it.
Yeah, it's hard to say like anyone I wouldn't recommend it to because it's a good movie regardless of, even if you don't really like horror. Like it's not even that, like it's not like super gory or like super scary. It's more just like interesting and fun. So
okay, should we move on?
Let's into horrors. Oh, what is that?
That is a green pen that my green screen is deleting.
So yeah, Horror Movie Horrors is a bit where we check our voicemail from you guys. So if you want to call and leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468.
How many we got?
Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got several.
Let's go.
That's a lot.
It's been a while. So let's hop in. Here's one from Beast from the Northeast.
Yeah.
It's CJ again, the Beast from the Northeast. And this message is for Sydney. Now that she's sexier, hotter, and more unstable than ever, I am adhering to her request and hitting her up. Also, Sydney, I'm pretty sure we live in the same general area if you're in Salem all the time. And, yeah, let's hang out. I like the hair. And as far as sex appeal goes, I mean, Bryce is the OG sex appeal of the show. Now that David's luscious locks are no longer in the picture, but Max, you're still twink. You're still sexy twink. Love you. Have a good day.
Holy
CJ
shit.
shooting a shot.
Wow, I'm like embarrassed.
She's blushing.
I was not expecting that. I'm very flattered. Beast from the Northeast. I haven't been to Salem in quite some time. But I don't know. I don't know what to say. Thank you.
You say yes or no, Sydney.
We do. We got to keep Sydney's cultivated sex symbol image up. Like we can't, we can't reveal her love life because then it's going to ruin the illusion.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is the same thing we were talking about, like with the Beatles.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pop out with a wedding ring. No. But I did just get my hair redone, so I hope. Yeah, I'm keeping it.
What'd
up.
you do to it?
I got it blonder. I got my roots done. If you look in the last episode, my roots were like black, so now they're blonde.
Okay.
Thank you, Beast from the Northeast. Mwah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. CJ, you still got a chance. There's no ring on it.
That's true. Fight for it.
Yeah. Okay. Another one. Oh, this is also from CJ.
I'm sorry, guys. It's me again. I just have so much to say. I'm watching the birds episode that you guys did for Patreon, and Max breaking the rules, watching the movie at 1.5 speed. I said for a punishment, we make him watch Skinnamarink at half speed. What do you guys say? You in? All right, let's do it. Have a good night, guys.
Oh, that was funny.
Sydney, hey, he's funny.
That is a great idea. We should make Max watch Skinnamarink.
Be like a 4-hour fucking movie.
Listen, I haven't done it since Bryce chewed me out on it. Hey, you don't understand. Like, it's all fun and games until we end the recording, and then Bryce says, "Okay, Sydney, you can go. Max, stick around for a few minutes. We need to have a chat." And then he's just like, "Look, dude, if we're gonna make this work, you gotta stop it with this shit. You gotta stop."
Max, this is your first official warning. It's going on your permanent record. It'll be in your file. This is a written reprimand.
I got a file. That's for sure.
Max has been doing good. He's very mindful about it now of not cutting corners. He even asked permission to watch Tokyo Gore Police with the dubbed version.
English
I also
dub,
watched it dubbed because I was also working at the same time, so I just had it like here. So I could,
Sydney.
Wait, hold on. Sydney gets to work
and
that's
have the
not movie
allowed.
on the side?
You can't work and watch it.
I watched it.
Nah.
You got to be miserable like us. You got to sit and watch.
I didn't have
and pay
time.
attention.
I didn't have time.
That's it. Skinnamarink, half speed.
Fuck.
All right, next caller.
What up, HMT? This is Dino, and I am kind of I'm relieved that Max is not on the podcast anymore. So here's my I've been stewing on this for a little while.
Oh, no.
So yeah, evolution happens, change happens, and I'm sure it's hard to find a new host. But big red flags with not knowing certain movies. To be on a movie podcast is just kind of crazy to not have any reference. Nothing to pull from. And I think Max got a bright future. And also, I think it's better for the product. A whole lot better. So I was starting to consider whether I wanted to keep going with this. And I don't think a 3-headed monster is a bad idea. It's just got to be the right 3-headed monster. And I'm excited to see how it's going with just Sydney and Bryce. So long live HMT. And thanks, David, for piping in on that one. All right. Love you guys. Peace.
Oh, Max. Oh, baby.
Wow.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Our fans' true colors come out. Like a lot of, you appreciate the twink when he's here, and then as soon as he leaves, you're like, yeah, fuck that twink.
Yeah,
we never needed him.
It's also like crazy. I guess we sold like everyone getting fired pretty well because like people really thought like all of us left respectively, and but Max, we love you.
Max, we love you. No,
we love you so much.
Listen, for the record, Max definitely deserves to be here. He's a great host.
Yes.
He's very young. He hasn't seen some older movies. It's not a big deal. And Max, just like you guys are buying the whole thing where Max was fired by David, and that David has, ownership. Well, actually, David does have 51% ownership, but we'll not get into that. But he would not fire Max. And also Max is leaning into the not seeing a lot of movies now because we know it works, is controversy and argument on Horror Movie Talk. So you guys ate it up, and you're just giving us the interaction and likes and comments that we want.
I also want to throw in the fact that I streamed for 6 hours last week on the Horror Movie Talk YouTube channel. So I'm putting in some work that is going unappreciated, I would say.
I agree.
By me?
No, by the
fans,
listeners saying that I'd say I work pretty hard for it.
I mean, that's 6 hours that you could have used to watch movies. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and what I'm saying is they should be grateful I'm choosing to spend time with them instead of Alfred Hitchcock,
Right. It's
just
true.
Says where my values are.
Well, I only watch your streams on 1.5 speed after the fact, so.
Okay.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Sometimes they're boring, sometimes they're good. I can't predict what's going to happen.
All right. Everyone, be nice to Max.
No, you don't need to say that.
He's a
be
good
mean
kid.
to me.
Yeah. Be whatever you want to Max.
Be whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to how you talk about me.
Yes. Yeah. If you want to talk about Max's lack of horror knowledge, or no, lack of movie knowledge. He's got a lot of horror knowledge. We're all for it. If you want to talk about Max's sweet ass, you can talk about that as well.
That's true.
We're here for all comers. No pun intended.
YouTube actually blocks all comers. YouTube actually blocks the comments that when you post about my sweet ass, it blocks those comments, and I personally go in and unblock them. So you're welcome.
Good. I want to see them too.
I would too. Okay, let's move on to the next caller.
Hi, I'm SilkShoes666 again, and I'm going to New York now, so I keep listening to you guys when I'm on road trips, really, really long drives, and oh fuck, what was my original thought? Okay, so I really hope nobody else calls in and says this because I'm really banking on it being a really original thought. But there is another horror movie based on tarot, and it's The Princess and the Frog, the Disney animated movie version.
Oh.
My mind can't be changed about that. That's really it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good observation.
I'm glad that is an original
Is the princess
thought.
attacked by all the different tarot card creatures?
Well, it's the Voodoo King guy.
Right.
I don't know if that's the right terminology, but
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
Oh, this is Point Shoe Princess, right? That was who that was.
It was something 666.
SilkShoes666. Yeah, thanks for. I also want to say thanks for always posting about us when you're listening to us. I really appreciate that. We see those. We love it.
That is nice.
Yeah, but thank you for that insight, girl.
I'll have to watch Princess and the Frog again.
It's a good movie.
I don't remember people being murdered by tarot.
The next movie reviewed on Horror Movie Talk, Princess and the Frog.
All right, next caller.
Hey, HMT. This is Zach from Virginia. Max's cousin, ? Z is me on the Patreon. Long time listener, first time caller. Shameful it's taken me this long to leave you guys a voicemail, but I hate phones. Just wanted to say thank you guys. Thank you, Papa Bryce, for keeping the ship afloat. I'm in agreement with David, Max, and Sydney. Y'all are doing a fantastic job bringing a new energy to the podcast. And yeah, just keep up the good work because H&T is special. Listen to lots of other podcasts, bigger podcasts, whatever. H&D is hands down the best. And if it ever went away, it'd leave a big old hole in my heart, and I'm sure lots of others. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Oh, Max, we went to the moon, dude. My mom was a 30-plus year employee at NASA. There are some incredibly smart, dedicated people in that world who were able to accomplish some crazy things in the 60s when space was actually prioritized by our government, Cold War and all that. Yeah. Just do some reading on the Saturn V rocket. It's got to be one of the greatest engineering feats in human history.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, all you conspiracy theories, come at me. But anyway, that's a tangent. Love you guys. Team Spear, baby. And do another live episode so I can call in with a computer that actually has a camera next time.
Do that.
Yeah, we should. You're so right. But thank you for calling for the first time. We love to hear first-time listeners as well as everyone.
Zach watches me stream, so Zach's the homie.
Hell yeah.
I actually do believe we went to the moon. It's fun believing we didn't,
No, that was a nice call. Thank you.
I gotta say, I just want to say, it's really important to me that people show appreciation for the show because behind the scenes and for me personally, it still can be a struggle. Like this week, I've been going through some just personal depression struggles, and it gets you in this weird place of is this even worth it? Am I as good of a person as I think I am? And I frame it with the podcast too, is where it's am I actually funny? Or am I just delusional? And this is a piece of shit that I'm making, and it's an ego project. And it takes people telling me they like it for me to turn off that voice in my head. And, and inverse, when you get comments of people saying, or reviews that say that it sucks, it's yeah, I mean, I take that to art as well.
Yeah.
So I just got to say, I really appreciate when people call in or leave comments and say that they appreciate the show, because it's not easy to do. And, it's not perfect. It's not the highest produced show, and we're not the most perfect hosts, most knowledgeable, but we're doing it for fun. And the fun is having people that appreciate it, because if you guys don't listen, it's not worth it.
Yeah, we put a lot of heart and soul into it. All three of us do. We are all very passionate about this, and to get even one phone call like that, that's keeps me going. It really does, because it's we put out the product, we do all the shit we have to do, we edit, we post, we do. It's a lot of fucking work, and it's even if just one person is hell yeah, guys, you guys are doing awesome, that's right here. That's so sweet.
It does matter. And, if you don't like the show, or if you call and say, you don't like what we said, we do take that to heart too. Sometimes it's stuff that we might not agree with and might not make adjustments, but it is, it is listened to, and we do take it seriously and, respond. So that's just me on my soapbox. I've got to say that call, I really appreciate it. Thanks, Zach.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's hear someone shitting on us, I'm sure.
Hello, it's Phil in Dublin again. And oh my God, I'm smiling from ear to ear. And I'm only halfway through the arachnophobia episode. Well done, everybody. Even well done, Sydney, who wasn't even there. Today we were all treated to classic David, and it was just so good to hear his voice and to hear him back on top form. That was 100% David Day.
is he like have his turn signal on this entire time?
Yeah,
Is he like sitting in the left-hand
driving.
turn lane right now? Like, Phil, turn or park before you call. Pull over.
He can multitask.
It's what we were used to before, you know, he kind of broke all our hearts and ran away. But, so refreshing. It's just like I'm having such a good time right now. Obviously, I'm loving Max and Sydney. You guys are great. But, and Bryce is like the daddy OG, Bryce. But yeah, so good to hear David's voice. And I hope it's maybe a sign of like getting David to drop in as like a regular guest format. I don't know. Not going to go out on a limb here, but might be not a bad idea. You know, because it'll give David a chance to, you know, get over the trauma of possibly watching a horror movie. You know, give him 4 weeks to get it out of his system and then just bring him back on again. Just my 2 cents. But yeah, well done again, guys. You're making people's lives a lot easier and a lot lighter. That's how I feel. So yeah, good stuff. Really good stuff.
Wow.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, it was I mean,
sweet.
obviously loved having David on again, and like we'll try to bring him on as much as we can. I know the one that he specifically mentioned that he'd come back for is Beetlejuice, and so I'm sure we'll do Beetlejuice by the end of the year with David.
I have a Beetlejuice shirt that I've been waiting to wear just for that episode.
Something that I learned about David when he did the arachnophobia episode, it's not just that he doesn't want to watch horror movies. He does not want to podcast. Like,
right.
So
He
getting him
doesn't
to
want
do that
podcast either.
is, you know, it's you got to convince him.
Yeah. And like he enjoys listening. He listens to everything that we do, and he's getting enjoyment out of it as a listener. But he has no desire to do it regularly anymore. So it'll be, if there's a movie from the 90s or something that I'm pretty sure was a part of David's childhood that's kind of a light lift, I'll reach out to him. And arachnophobia is one of those that he mentioned all the time as one that he would watch. So there's an open invitation to David at any time to come on. But yeah, for the most part, he's just not interested in watching horror movies anymore. I called him and I was like, I always like drop the hint of like, hey, David, if you want to, you could have the opportunity to watch Tarot, the new horror movie out, and come on the show. Like, I know it's something that you really want to do, and I just want to make you feel comfortable. If you want to see Tarot and talk on the show, you can. It's like, that's the time, even though it's like the brand that I'm pushing, sometimes watching those new horror movies, it is a burden, and I kind of resent David that he doesn't have to sometimes for some of those. But
the fucking Strangers sucked so bad.
Did you watch The Strangers, Bryce?
I didn't. I took it as
I don't
my
watch the
opportunity to
episodes
skip.
I'm not on. Like, I don't watch the movies. I'll listen to the episodes, but I don't watch the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably, like, if it's one that I actually wanted to watch, I'd probably watch it. But Strangers Chapter 1 seemed not that interesting. But yeah. Anyways, David was great. We hope to have him back soon.
Hey, it's Michael from Virginia. I'm on the way to work. Just finishing up the arachnophobia podcast, and a couple things. One, the basic white bitch running up the stairs thing. I don't know if you all. I don't think you've talked about this, but that is a very like monkey brain kind of thing. That when people get super scared, the first thing they do is go up. Because that's what we used to do in trees. When we would be facing a predator, we'd just go straight up in the tree. So while it is kind of like, oh, there they go, up the stairs where there's no escape, it happens in real life, which is kind of crazy. But and then secondly, the whole spider giant hatching migration that Max almost lost it over. That does happen, and it also happens in Texas. I worked with someone that was from Lubbock, Texas, which I think is where Texas Tech is. And yeah, she said they'd have migrations of tarantulas, and you would have to slow down on the roads, because if you hit them going, 60 miles an hour, you would hydroplane on tarantulas and then probably just wrap your car around a tree or something, and they would just crawl in on top of you, and you would be the next hatching. So anyway, have a great day. Bye.
That's fucking vile.
That's so terrifying.
That's disgusting.
I'm not kidding when I say I would rather be a character in a horror movie where I'm going to die a violent death than touch a tarantula.
Yeah, there's spiders. The other thing you can keep in mind is at all times there are spiders flying around in the atmosphere, like migrating. So like at any given time outside, a spider could drop on you,
Like with the bird.
That's fucking disgusting. That's fucking gross.
They fly across. They can fly over entire oceans on their strands of silk when they it's called ballooning. So if you just want to be terrified about the presence of spiders, they're all around you at all times.
It's so nasty.
Okay, speaking of David, here's a voicemail from
Papa.
David Day.
Papa.
Hi, this is David Day. And, I was just listening to the Afterpod interview with Vampire Afterpod, where Sydney was like, she just got a text about how much time her dad has left to live, supposedly given by the hospital. And I just want to say, that's bullshit. You should consider that number bullshit. Sydney, I hope you do, because they got a motherfucking crystal ball that says, oh, that's how long your dad has lived. They couldn't figure out COVID. That shit was happening in real time. And they were like, let's put them on respirators. They couldn't they didn't know what was going on. They barely know what's going on ever. And then they presume to tell people how long they have left to live. And it's just a fucking wild guess. If you did that in any other industry, you'd be sued into oblivion. It's bonkers. And it gives people the false expectation that I'm going to die after 6 months or some dumb shit. Holy shit, there's a big truck coming at me. Jesus fucking Christ. Don't pass on a blind corner, asshole. Fucking God damn it. I almost had 4 seconds left to live. But you know what? I made it through.
He made it.
Anyway, don't lose hope. Everything's going to be okay. Keep believing, like that Journey song. And you know what else? The interview with the vampire episode, you guys were harping on Sydney for being horny. It's like, oh, you finally get a female that's as horny as a guy, and you guys are shaming it out of her? Well, for shame on you. You low-T beta cuck.
Low-T beta cucks! Low-T beta cucks on this podcast. Not me, baby! Not me. That was really sweet, David. Thank you. I really appreciated it, and I needed that laugh. I really like that. Yeah. Stop shaming me for being horny, okay?
Yeah, I know. I am a low-T beta cuck. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I just fuck. I just fuck. And if you can't handle that.
Wow.
I mean, that's what it comes down to is both me and Max are just intimidated. It's intimidating.
No wonder CJ is shooting his shot.
Yeah.
All I do is
come
talk
on, Sydney.
about fucking.
You can fit him in there. I mean.
Oh, man.
He's a beast. He's from the Northeast. Why not?
Am I the
You've only got
beastess?
one life to live. He can come back on the show and tell us how much of a beast he is. Just saying.
It's true. You could verify the claim.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks, David, calling it. Yeah, I mean, for listeners that aren't part of the Afterpod, Sydney's going through some stuff. I think we might have talked about it a little on the podcast, but
I don't think I have, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, personally, going through some family sickness issues, and it's a good point. Like,
yeah, it is
they
a
don't
good
know.
point.
Like, there's countless stories of people pulling through illnesses and living years and years longer, and
We can
that's
talk
part
about it
of,
on
like,
the Afterpod too, because
Yeah.
I got more updates. But
yeah, it's an unending source of anxiety. But I don't know if you've ever gone into a doctor, but generally not the most helpful people
Never.
when diagnosing or actually helping you with your health at all.
Yeah, like
unless it's
I've
literally
gone
like
in.
something that can be fixed by a pill or a balm
Yeah.
that you can only get prescribed.
I went to
and then that
the
actually
ER
fixes it.
last summer and I was having like pelvic pain, and they didn't even do an ultrasound on me. They just were like, here's some morphine. They literally gave me morphine and they were like, chill. And I was like,
Whoa.
wow, this feels good. Like, I was like, I feel good. And then they were like, you're probably fine. And I was like, cool. That's awesome. And then I went to my gyno for follow-ups and stuff like that. And I ended up having to get an endoscopy and colposcopy, not an endoscopy. I've never gotten one of those. I got a colposcopy, and I did have things wrong that were causing me pain.
Yeah, at least you got the morphine though.
Oh, it was so nice. Oh my God. They were like, do you have any pain anymore? I was like, no. I was like, no, man, this is great.
I don't think I'll have pain ever again.
I felt
this is
so
amazing.
good. I felt so good.
That's wild that's like one of the first things that they would go to. It was like, let's just give you a narcotic.
They like pressed on my pelvis as I was crying and screaming because it hurt so bad. And then they were like, all right, we'll start you on an IV drip of morphine. Go in the waiting room with it. So I was on IV drip of morphine in the waiting room like, whoa. It was nice.
And did they just tell you to get a follow-up with your gyno, or
Yeah.
did you just do that anyway? Okay.
Yeah, that's all they did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it must be like, I don't know. Me and Sydney must be simpatico when it comes to doctors, because doctors do not believe women and they do not believe fat people. Like, the women that have anything wrong with them, that are in intense pain going to the doctor, they'll probably say it's probably your period, or let's take a pregnancy test.
Always pregnancy.
100%.
Always. I'm like, I am not pregnant. I know.
And then and if you're fat and you go into the doctor with any kind of pain or any issue that obviously like is bad enough that you would go into the doctor, they'd be like, well, it's probably because you're so fat. You should lose some weight. I'm like, okay. Wish I had thought of that. Thank you. Yeah. And that like goes to my default position with any kind of malady is I just wait. You know that thing where my back was like terrible and I could barely stand?
Yeah.
And how you said, oh, you did my tarot reading? It was like,
I did.
You gotta do, what you need to do. Ended up, I was right. I just had to do nothing, and it resolved itself.
Great.
It's
That's
fine
For
good.
you.
Your body just takes care of yourself, and if it doesn't, then you die, and then you don't have a problem anymore. So why go to a
Either
doctor?
way, you're getting taken care of.
Right.
And
Doctor's
then you
just
would
gonna make it worse.
And Jesus
Yeah.
said, hey.
Yeah, and then you can just live with Jesus, and everything's fine.
Hey, Jesus.
All right, that's all the voicemails today.
Some good voicemails today.
Really
good
good
voicemails.
ones. We love you guys. Thank you for always calling in. We love to hear from you. Like, honestly, like, I love when we do the voicemails because I'm like, what does everyone have to say. It's so nice.
Who's gonna shit on Max today? This will be awesome.
Exactly. Dude, damn, like Max. I get hit on, and Max, someone's like, Max, you suck. It's so.
Oh, I'm so glad he's gone.
Well, let's see what happens if we just tell people that Max got divorced and is open to suitors.
Don't say that.
See how many bears call in. Like,
Bears!
Hey, Max.
Not the bears!
Max, it's time for you to become my spinner. That's what I assume would happen.
I'm going to say a blanket statement no to all who want to reach out to me that way.
No.
Your wife doesn't want an open relationship with a bunch of bears?
No, and neither do I.
Okay. All right. Well, just making sure.
Straight up with you.
All right,
let's wrap it up.
Should we wrap it up? All right. Thank you guys for listening to this episode that's produced by me, and Bryce is going to teach me how to use the new software that we use to edit it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Love. Thank you to my berry champagne flavored lip gloss that tastes delicious, and that's why I keep reapplying it. Thanks to the new patrons again. Make sure you share. Make sure you click that bell. I don't know. Do shit on YouTube that makes us upvote. Thumbs up. Okay. Thanks, guys. We love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, that didn't sound good.